So the Connecticut Huskies, the UConn Huskies, go into South Carolina and beat the South Carolina Gamecocks, which is the defending national champion South Carolina Gamecocks, 87-58. Now, we all know that Azzi Fudd had 28 points in this game, but Sarah Strong for the Connecticut Huskies added 16 points with 13 rebounds for the Huskies, who had lost the past 4 games against the Gamecocks. Now, Paige Becker did add 12 points and 10 assists. Wasn't her best game, but she did have 7 rebounds. As UConn took control of the whole game in the opening quarter, it was up by 22 at halftime. Now, it was a lot of uncharacteristic stuff going on with South Carolina. When it comes to turnovers, they could not get the ball moving. And I got a question for South Carolina. Why Malaysia Fuwali is not starting? Understand you want to give that spark off the bench, but she was the only one really doing something out there to give this team a spark. And the defending champion South Carolina Gamecocks could not respond at all for the first time at home since North Carolina State beat them 54-46 back on December 3rd, 2020. That ended the 4th longest home winning streak ever in women's Division I basketball history. Now, Azzi Fudd followed up with her career best with 34 points in this performance in a win over St. John's Wednesday by torching the Gamecocks. It had 6 of UConn's 13 three-pointers, including 4 of the third, to close out any South Carolina hope for a comeback. Now, Joyce Edwards for South Carolina did have 17 points. But these are some of my takeaways that I have. That UConn, it was a big win for them. Now, the Huskies, who fell to another SEC opponent, which was my Tennessee Volunteers earlier this month, 80-76. But with a healthy Azzi Fudd playing at this level, UConn could be a championship contender. Now, for South Carolina, the Gamecocks has lost a total of 3 games in the past 3 seasons. They were sent reeling by the number 3 Texas last Sunday, which I did a video on. Before Sunday, Coach Dawn Staley would need to find answers in a hurry, because March Madness is literally around the corner, and you don't want to go into March Madness with back-to-back losses to top 10 teams. The key moment for me in this game in particular, that UConn was trailing 11-9 on a Edwards basket. But then the Huskies took on a 22-3 surge on the next 10 minutes to take control of the lead 45-23 at the half. One of the key stats that I could talk about in this game as well, that South Carolina came through out-rebounding opponents by more than 8 boards a game. But UConn turned that around, holding them 48-29 advantage on the glass. UConn continues a 3-game road trip against Seton Hall Wednesday night, and South Carolina ended a 3-game homestand against Arkansas on Thursday night. Now, my personal opinion, if you look at this score for UConn and South Carolina, you see that every single quarter UConn won. First quarter, 21-14 over South Carolina. Second quarter, 24-9 over South Carolina. Third quarter, 25-21 over South Carolina, and 17-14 over South Carolina. This game was not great for South Carolina. They just was not playing tough. They looked sloppy. They looked really sloppy. And this is not a Dawn Staley team that plays sloppy basketball. That's just my personal opinion. And to talk about this game and the way this game went, I thought this was going to be closer than expected. But it wasn't. It was definitely pure domination from the UConn Huskies. I was happy my Tennessee Volunteers was able to get the win for them. But at the end of the day, I really love what UConn did. They definitely had almost 5 players in double figures, if I'm not mistaken. They only have 4 of the 5 of their starters in double figures. With Sarah Strong with 16, you got Jonna L. Alfie. She had 8 on the game. You had Caitlin Chen had 10 on the game. Azzi Fudd with 28 points and 5 boards for her. And then Paige Becker, she didn't play well in this big-time game. In these big-time games, she got to start playing well, especially when it comes down to March Madness. But she did have 12 points and 10 assists. She did have a double-double there. But one thing about the UConn Huskies, they shot 43.7% from the field, which was 31 of 71. They was 46% from the three-point line, 13 three-pointers made out of 28. Great basketball from UConn. And then you had 13, they only missed one foul shot. It was 92% from the free throw line. They had 48 rebounds, 22 assists, 6 steals. They had 1 block, 10 turnovers, and 14 personal fouls. But they still played a great game, and they played an overall good game for them to win this game. Now, for South Carolina, you got to see it here. There was nobody really in double figures besides Joy Edwards and Malaysia Muwali and Tiana Paopao. Now, those 3 was the only one there. Chloe Kitts, nowhere to be found with 6 points. You had Cena Fegan with 4 points, nowhere to be found. You had Bree Hall, which is a good defensive player, with only 7 points, but she struggled. You have Raven Johnson in there at all, which I don't think Raven Johnson should be the starter anymore for South Carolina, in my opinion. I know she's great defensively, but I like Malaysia Fuwali in my personal opinion. She gave donut for South Carolina. Tahina Paopao with 10 points. Joyce Edwards was the only one that had a high double figures, which was only 17 points for Joyce Edwards, and she came off the bench. She wasn't even in the starting 5 in this situation. Malaysia Fuwali, she had 11 points, but South Carolina shot 37% from the field, which was 23 of 61. And then on top of that, it was 3 of 17 from the 3. 3 of 17 from the 3, which is 17%. You're not going to win basketball games that way. You're just not. There was 9 of 11 from the free throw line with 81%, which is not bad, but you still have to make your free throws at the end of the day. But they did have 29 rebounds. They had 7 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 12 turnovers, and 10 personal fouls. But this was a great win for the UConn Huskies to get that under their belt. They could not beat South Carolina for the last couple of years, and they came in and they was determined to get what they wanted, and that was a W. But let me know what y'all think. How do you feel about this loss by South Carolina, and how dominant do you think the UConn Huskies was in here? Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.